Elizabeth, and I am a writer here at NerdWallet. Now, my team spends hours researching simple ways for people to budget and save some money. Now, speaking of saving money, it's almost Halloween, woo! And I don't know about you, but I have felt the pinch of inflation in my pockets this year. Now, with that said, I asked my son what he wanted to be for Halloween this year, and he said Sonic, again. Instead of buying a new costume because he has outgrown the one from last year, I thought to myself, well, Elizabeth, maybe you can DIY one. And for those who are watching who are like me and you're not a DIY person, maybe you can join me on this journey and just give it a shot this year. So in 2024, Americans are expected to spend about $104 on Halloween, according to the National Retail Federation. Now, $104 may not seem like a lot to you, but I know that's money I could put towards another bill. And I have a lot of bills, by the way. So in this video, we're gonna explore some ideas for saving money on Halloween costumes. Now, I was curious to hear from moms who have been knee-deep in making their kids' or families' DIY costumes. So I spoke to a couple of them about their experience, and I'm gonna share the tips that they shared in this video. Stay tuned. Now, the first tip I have for you is to work within a budget. Now, I know many people may not be a fan of a budget, I'm speaking for myself, but it can help to make sure that you don't overspend and you're not spending basically more than you have on a Halloween costume. So decide the maximum amount you're willing to spend and work around that budget. Honestly, I personally would like to spend $0 this year. All right, so in terms of those who are not familiar with how to budget, luckily on nerdwallet.com, we have tons of budgeting resources, and that includes calculators and articles that break down how you can budget. But really quickly, I'll just give you a couple of tips in terms of how to budget, and you can use the 50-30-20 budgeting strategy, which basically says that 50% of your income should go to needs, 30% goes to wants, and 20% goes to paying off debt and also saving money. Now, your Halloween costume ideally should come from that 30% bucket. Another tip within the budgeting realm that I have for you all is to use price comparisons. Now, we have websites and tools online you can use for that to basically find your costume for cheaper. So let's say that you want to be a Wicked Witch of the West, for example. You could shop for that on different websites and see which one has the cheapest. Now, the last thing that you want to do is buy your arts and crafts stuff. This is for my DIY family, in a clearance if you can find any clearances, or just in the dollar store. And also, if you're like me and you have kids, you're probably gonna find a crayon in the bathroom or under the bed. So you probably have some arts and crafts stuff hiding around the house somewhere that you can use to create your costume. So let's get into a few of the costume ideas that I came up with. Now, the first one is a mummy costume. I went online and I was able to find the materials needed for a mummy costume. And one of them was that I could use this toilet paper, which I have in my house in abundance, and also a flat sheet. So I would need to cut up this flat sheet. And for all those people who are like, ooh, don't worry, I don't use flat sheets at home because I'm not a fan of flat sheets. So they're just collecting dust. So that is how I would create my mummy costume. And underneath, I could wear a white top, white shorts, or just a white dress, just to kind of camouflage with the mummy costume. Now, the second idea I had was just the cutest thing ever, so I do have some felt. So I would essentially use this to make a rainbow costume. How's that gonna look, Elizabeth? Well, we cut the felt in the shape of a rainbow. I have all of the colors, so it's nice and bright, and then I would just need to use a material to hang it around my neck. Now, last but not least, we have my all-time favorite, the iconic Whitney Houston. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. So I have these wet look pants that I've only worn once, so they're begging me to wear them. Don't worry, I'm gonna wear you for Halloween. And then we have this white V-neck shirt, which would go underneath this leather jacket. And this is a picture of Whitney that I saw online, and I was like, yep, I have all those items, so this is gonna be a free costume. And I also, guess what, have red lipstick, so spending $0 on this costume. Love it, love it, love it. So I hope you've gotten some inspiration for how you can use things around your house to build out a costume in case you want to go the DIY route. The next tip I have for you guys is to be open to non-coordinated costumes. Now, I love seeing coordinated costumes. I love seeing the couples wearing similar outfits, as well as maybe a family of 3 all wearing similar outfits. But if you think about it, if you are doing coordinated costumes and you're buying them in the store, you could end up spending a lot more money than you are budgeting for. So with that said, be open to mixing and matching. So everyone can be something different, based on your budget and based on what you can afford for Halloween. Now, another idea, if you have children, is to put on a little friendly competition and task them with each coming up with their own costume, using things around the house. So this is a chance to see what your kids can come up with and also for you to save a little bit of money. So my next tip for you all is not to let perfectionism take over. Yes, I'm talking to myself here, and I may be talking to you too. So I think this tip is important because it's easy to nitpick at all the little things, especially when you're doing a DIY costume, and end up redoing things and maybe potentially buying new materials, more materials, and just spending way more than you budgeted to spend. This is a little unrelated, but I do arts and crafts, and I found recently I'm doing things on a canvas, and I've almost gone through a whole pack of canvases because I didn't like my first take. So don't be like Elizabeth. Don't be, trying to get everything perfect. So with that said, just remember that you're only going to be wearing the costume for, a couple of hours max. So it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be fun. And that's that. My second to last tip for you guys is to get secondhand costumes. Now, for all of the thrifters, you guys might be really excited about this tip. Now, if you don't mind using a secondhand costume, you can go to places like Facebook Marketplace, eBay, and also offer up to get a costume. Now, you're likely going to get costumes for far less than if you go and buy them full price at a department store. Before you buy a used costume, there are a few things that I want you to keep in mind. And one is you want to pay close attention to any issues that the costume might have. So think of things like a broken zipper, think about things like holes in the costume, and also making sure the costume fits. Now, with that in mind, you want to see what the return policy is, because if you buy the costume and it doesn't fit, then that means you have no costume for Halloween. These are things that you might want to ask the seller. You can send them a DM before going ahead to make the purchase. If you need some tips on, how to shop secondhand, we have plenty of articles on NerdWallet that can help with that. So my final tip for you all is to plan ahead for next year. I know you guys are like, Elizabeth, I haven't even finished thinking about 2024 yet. I'm right there with you. However, right after Halloween, the costumes usually go on sale because everyone wants to get rid of them. So that's your chance to snag you a costume for next year and get it for a lower price. So if you are online shopping on October the 31st or November the 1st, get you a costume for next year. I hope you found these tips helpful, and I also hope that you're inspired to challenge yourself to spend less on Halloween this year. I certainly am. So I would love to hear how much you usually spend on Halloween costumes or creative ways that you have saved money in the past. Comment below to let us know. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Wishing you a spooky and a nerdy Halloween.